12 News is your local election headquarters, unpacking an extraordinary several days in American politics. I'm joined now for analysis by 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi. And Ted, in just the last 72 hours, we've had an assassination attempt against a former and potentially future president, a major court ruling about one of that former president's criminal cases, and the first ever millennial candidate on a presidential ticket, again, in just the last 72 hours.
Yeah, Kim, it's hard to find the right adjectives for what a series of unprecedented events we've just seen in American politics. From, you go all the way back to the last few years, too. You had Donald Trump's first victory, you had the COVID pandemic, you had January 6th, but the number of things that just happened in the last few days, and frankly, after a busy few weeks, I can certainly understand if viewers feel a little, rattled or at least overwhelmed by the amount of news they're hearing.
Sure, and I think the number one question that I've been hearing from people is how is all of this going to impact what happens in November?
Well, and that's one of the things I'm uncertain about. I think everybody is. I mean, the backdrop for this year is that people are so dug in the United States. Voters are, and they're close to evenly split, as we see in the polls, between President Biden and former President Trump. Trump has an edge, and they're universally known, and a majority feel unfavorably toward the two of them. So, we've seen some surveys suggesting there might not be a lot of movement even after an assassination attempt. That's the sort of thing that in the past, Kim, has reshaped American politics. So I think it gives you a sense of just how dug in voters are right now, that this level of a news event, still it's not certain that will fundamentally reshape the political landscape.
And of course, we're spending a lot of time talking about things that have happened on the Republican side. Of course, they're having the RNC right now in Milwaukee, but President Biden still hasn't convinced some leaders in the Democratic Party that he should remain their nominee. Rhode Island U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse just made national headlines again yesterday when he gave this response to a question about whether Biden should stay on the ticket. Take a listen.
I think that's a project that is still being considered between House leadership, Democratic leadership, and the president and his team, and I don't think there's an answer for it yet. I'm not saying one thing or another, despite your very clever and well-handled efforts to try to get me to say that.
And again, Senator Whitehouse had already made national news just 2 weeks ago when he told you that he needed reassurance from Biden's team about the president's condition. He does not sound reassured.
No, and Kim, I mean, I've been covering Sheldon Whitehouse a long time, so have you. It is not usually hard to get him to comment, often at some length. So for him to be as clipped in his answers as you saw there and as he's been with other reporters, it's very telling to me. The honest answer is a large number of top Democrats no longer believe President Biden can win, or at least are very concerned about his ability to recover, and they're worried he's going to take down a lot of House and Senate Democrats with him. And that's why you're seeing these kinds of comments from him, from Nancy Pelosi and others. If Donald Trump did that, he would have significantly more power in a second term. So you see Sheldon Whitehouse, I think, among those trying to keep the conversation open, but there does seem to be some sort of paralysis for a lot of top Democrats about how to actually change what's going on.
Certainly no lack of campaign news this summer, that's for sure. 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi, thanks so much for being here.
Good to be here.